Welcome to another edition. Hawk, don't think I didn't see that early wave. I'm calling you out before I even get the intro done.
I forgot to do my background change.
Oh, shit. That's okay. No. Oh, you did. Okay. You did it. It's good. I don't care. We were actually talking about porn before this. I said we should just keep talking about porn going right into the pod, but we have bigger important things to do. Welcome
More
to...
important than porn.
More important than porn. That was a great Laszlo. Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I am your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew. This side of some extra awesome carnivorous moss that is not offering any of us porn. Commander Hawk is here, and don't you dare tell him the Romulan supernova was staged. He watched it happen.
I saw it happen.
He did. And Commander MC is here with our own Steve Levy Conspiracy Kelvin 4, already in production, and all the starts and stops are Generate Hype. That's right.
I want to believe.
I want to believe. Get that
We all
X-Files
do.
poster. Let's go. Where's Giraffe?
Stuck in a cave?
Ironically, yeah, that's right, Hawk. She's trapped in a cave. It was the Romulans. It was Tomalak.
Mm-hmm.
It was Tomalak. It's always
all
Tomalak.
along.
Just because,
I hate caves.
That's right. Actually, Giraffe loves caves and wants you all to know that she's really pissed off that she can't be here for this one tonight. I have lots of stuff to read from her, so don't worry. Her presence will be felt, even though Tomalak kidnapped her. It's fine. Everything's fine. How are you guys doing? What's going on?
Good.
Oh, we're doing good. Yeah, everybody's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wrangling moopsies, so same old day.
And you two are recently back off the convention track, so
We are at
Yeah.
New York Comic Con. We will talk about that. Eric Summers says Tomalak, that guy.
him.
As Nandor would say, this fucking guy. Yeah. I've love what we do in the shadows. If I need to start another podcast, I could do that. A Star Wars one, this one, it doesn't matter. Let's do it, guys. Before we move any further, just a real quick reminder that this episode of Strange New Pod was live streamed and recorded during the SAG-AFTRA strike, and without the amazing actors who take part in film, television, all of these Star Trek shows that we love, if they weren't a part of them, we wouldn't be able to do it. So we need to make sure that they are getting paid properly, that they are getting their residuals, that they are getting streaming numbers, and that AI is used correctly. We say fuck AI a lot. I think it is important to say that if used correctly, AI could be a great tool, but also fuck AI.
Yeah.
But let's
Right now that tool produces some very ugly looking work.
Yeah.
And scary.
Yeah. So Ernesto says you survived NYC. We did. So let's make sure that our actors get a fair deal. With that said, what's happening this week? Well, what happens when Boymes, Mariner, Rutherford, and Tendi, they get reunited? Finally, it feels so good for an away mission together, only to be trapped in a very tropey cave. A la TNG, a la DS9, a la Voyager, a la back to DS9, a la back to Voyager. It goes on and on.
Original series, like there were a lot
Original
of
series.
caves.
Sorry, there were a lot of caves in TOS. That's
Oh my
right.
god, so many caves.
So many caves. Hello, Wayner. Good to see you, sir. So many caves. Star Trek loves caves. And Mike McMahon made us a hell of a cave episode. That's right. How do each of their stories affect one another? And how are the Vendorians involved? Yes, the Vendorians from the animated series. We're going to break it all down, but first, I'm going to do it because I don't do it often, and there's only 3 of us, and you guys have been doing it like back and forth because the lineup keeps changing. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to thank our amazing Patreon Collective members at the Ready Room level and above. I have paper, did you see? The outline's back, bitches.
Ooh.
Yeah. Thank you to Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Hui, Takako Nagumo, Fernando Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, Going Gaga for Grappling Greatness, Maggie Light, Tyrannokilicus.
I don't know, Tyrannokilicus, but I can try.
Wayne Ritz, Skonavark, Sean, Jay Howard, Anna Uridan, Mahalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Joshua Lewis, Davey Willett, Tara Pollen, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Adam Sanders, Aris Spengian, Lanky Guy, Aaron Walke, Karangoli, Michael Kwan, TJ Mayer, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, changing my name to Trip Up Julian. Funny, I know who you are. Sedano 317, Puka Hair, 3 Fries Short, Kat Tippe, tripping the read alert over a pineapple, Sean Manning, congressional baseball fan, Chris Waterman, RHCBN, Martin Simpson, let's go. That was a lot, and I have a viral cough, so who wants to read our executive producers?
I'll read that. And as always, a big thanks to our amazing executive producers, Simon Stager, Commander Chris Waterman.
Oh, did I not put the chief?
I guess not. You didn't put that.
That's what you get for changing your name, Ernesto. I told you I know who you are.
To the chief, Ernesto Castagna. And without you guys, we just couldn't keep the lights on.
That's absolutely true. You guys freaking rock. I haven't had paper in a couple weeks, so I went to the next page and I forgot that I print double-sided. So, let's get to some news. Let's see. This is the big one. We haven't been live since this happened, and just like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps just from all of us here at Strange New Pod. We are so fucking excited that Star Trek Prodigy has been renewed, or not renewed, but brought back to life by Netflix. It is a great home for them. Season 1 debuting later this year, season 2, 2024. Listen, we have so many friends who work on the Prodigy team. So Aaron, the Hagemans, Nami, the amazing writing team. Just congrats to all of you. We are so freaking just like, can't wait to get back.
I know. Giving all 10s to it. I feel there's going to be a lot of 10s coming up in season 2.
I know. They could do no wrong. Oh, we are just like, MC got to my folks' house as we're about to cover Comic-Con, and she's getting set up in my room. And I think the first thing I said to her was like, happy Star Trek Prodigy Day, or happy like
that
rebirth.
Totally happened.
Something. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was happy Star Trek Prodigy renewal day.
That's right.
Yay.
That's right. Speaking of, who wants to take the next bit of news? What do we have coming up next week?
So next week is our Prodigy Cadet Report, and that's going to be on Saturday, which is Star Trek Prodigy Day, which is still happening because Star Trek Prodigy deserves to have a day. We'll have some special guests, but we need to hear from you. So send in your 90-second or less recording. It can be from you, your kid, or your whole family on what Prodigy means to you. Right now, we don't have any submissions, so get them in. Deadline is Wednesday. You can email your audio to astrangenewpod@gmail.com. Yes, astrangenewpod@gmail.com, or directly record a message on the SNP website.
That is right. And I think we're going to have a couple of, or one special guest, but his special guest is a special guest for that one. So get your recordings in, because it's going to be a lot more of an exciting episode now that it's back too. So not that it wasn't going to be good, but now it's just going to be.
It's going to be a lot more
better.
Celebratory.
That's right. Yeah. Hawk, you brought it up. MC, you and I got back from New York Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, much like your experience at San Diego, like it was a weird year. It was a bit of an off year at Comic-Con. I'll just briefly say, we didn't love it, but we didn't hate it. It just wasn't like a great time. So we're gonna just do a very, very, very quick wrap up. We'll do least favorite and favorite thing. So MC, what was your least favorite thing from New York Comic-Con this year?
The security checkpoint. They had very, very sensitive metal detectors, and I had stuff taken away from me that was not at all, harmful. And I was setting it off every time I went through, no matter what, because my phone, and it was really fucking annoying.
Tara wrote $25 hamburger.
I mean, the $25 hamburger was also pretty bad.
My least favorite thing was the press setup this year. From everything I understood from previous years. Press were treated a whole lot better. There was Wi-Fi, there was more coordination. There was no Wi-Fi for the press this year, meaning we couldn't do our job. Like so, and this is absolutely no bullshit. MC can back this up. I had to go outside to the smoking area to post our live tweets of the IDW panel.
That absolutely happened.
Because there was no service in that room. Luckily, I was able to live tweet the main Star Trek panel, but like it was not a good situation, and I'm not the only one. I think anytime I went into either the press lounge or the press room, people were complaining about the just lack of anything for press. So a little bit disappointing there. Hopefully Repop fixes that next year. That being said, your favorite thing from New York Comic Con this year, MC?
I think my favorite thing was after the main Star Trek panel, the big one, a bunch of the New York away team and a bunch of, just Star Trek cosplayers ended up meeting up for a big photo shoot. And it was just so much fun to meet a lot of Star Trek fans, and especially because a lot of them have my moopsies. So that was really fun to see them in the wild. And yeah, just there is something energizing about being in a group of Star Trek fans.
No pun intended. Yeah, the photo shoot with what I made of it was fun. For me, it was the Mike McMahon roundtable. It was an amazing experience. I'm not saying that as a brag. It's the first time that I've taken part in a roundtable interview. I've done lots of press conferences in my press career for soccer. It's a very different animal. So to do this, and I felt fortunate, though I had friends at other tables. I was actually at a table with nobody that I knew, but it was like just a really good vibe. Like everybody we were all fans. And I think Mike picked up on that. And for our amazing patron collective, they got to hear the vibe, right? Like they got to hear the audio of how that went down. So they know how like genuine it was. So it was just like a really cool experience. I've been since we started covering Lower Decks year one, I've wanted to interview Mike McMahon. So for that to finally happen was just really cool. So that is a bit of a patron plug. Obviously, we're going to talk about coverage in a second, but it is a patron exclusive. It will never be released to the public. You get the full roundtable interview, the audio of it, which isn't going to be released because it's not great audio. It's everybody puts their phones down and hits record, but it's a cool thing for our collective to get if they're patrons. So with that being said, MC, your coverage from Comic-Con this year, what did you cover and where is it?
So I covered the main Star Trek panel, which was Mike McMahon and Alex Kurtzman and Kid Cudi coming out and talking all things related to their parts of Star Trek. And I can't say that there was a lot of new information, but it was good to have this information in the same spot. So that is an article over on Strange New Pod.
Yep.
And did I cover something else?
Well, people may not have known it, but on day one on Thursday, like you were behind like all of our tweets.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I went to all of the different booths that Star Trek had said that they had a partnership with for license.
And some of them didn't have Star Trek stuff.
Yeah. But we did talk to a lot of people. Some of them were saying it's like, oh, we don't have our Star Trek stuff right now because we're coming out with a new collection of it. But then there were some people that had some awesome Star Trek stuff that, we hadn't really seen before. I really liked the Next Generation tarot cards.
And I believe you're going to do some tarot readings with those.
I am going to do some tarot readings. That seems like a really good thing to do this month. And something that I know how to do. And that's from Insight Editions. So.
And we are going to have them on at some point soon because they're doing the the Enterprise D shuttlecraft. What do you call the box?
The Advent calendar,
Advent
which
calendar.
Ernesto just mentioned.
Yep. Thank you, Ernesto. They're, I believe, going to send us one. So we will be unboxing that day by day during Christmas, and we'll be talking to them about it. Really up and coming. So if someone in the chat knows his name, I feel bad because he's a great guy. He was the lead design at Eagle Moss before they shut down. He's the one who's been giving all the information about like getting master replicas on board to sell all this stuff. He's with Insight now. So they're going to have some really cool stuff coming out. So, yeah. As for me, I covered the IDW Trek panel, which was awesome. Some new Trek books coming out that are just like really cool. Some of them I'm like, I'm probably not going to read them, but they're probably up other people's alley. But we're in like a golden age of Star Trek comics right now, which is pretty awesome. And then obviously the Mike McMahon Roundtable. You can find both the write-ups of those on strangenewpod.com as well. Hawk.
Yo.
Why don't you read our big announcement that we have for the pod? Because this is exciting.
Well, apparently we have more convention news. Strange New Pods will be back at Long Island, Trek Long Island.
Yeah.
And you can find us in the vendors room this year with our friends at the Duras Sisters and Trek Geeks. More details as the event gets closer. May is really not that far away, is it?
Nope, it isn't.
Really not, yeah.
And yeah, we're not going to be in the the lonely podcast corner. We're going to be right in the main vendors hall. So we're really excited to be back at Trek Long Island again. It's going to be fantastic. So super excited for that. Before we get started, we are almost there, guys. We have a partnership, and MC is wearing the awesome new fleece Science Division hoodie, which I know there was maybe some on the discourse that people were like, it might not be good, but you like it, yeah?
I have been wearing it basically since Sunday. It's so freaking comfortable. I mean, I suggest getting it large because it's like a really like you just want to be enveloped in it. So it works really well for me.
It looks amazing.
And I also, when I was going grocery shopping, I had somebody freak the fuck out on me because she was just like, is that a Star Trek hoodie? And I mean, it's not a hoodie, but she was the fact that it was a Star Trek anything. And I was really sad that I wasn't able to give her our discount code because we are in Canada. But Julian and I did talk with somebody from Heroes and Villains.
Taryn, it was very nice to speak to you, by the way, if you're listening. Yes.
And we're trying to manifest Canadian shipping into existence. So
it is something that they are aware of and that they want to do. So Canadian listeners, we are working on it, and Heroes and Villains are working on it. So, with that being so,
Canada is so Trek now. We got canonized this year in that in Strange New Worlds.
That's right.
Exactly.
We've got a whole class of starships.
That's right. You do. Oh man, I'm looking at one right now, the USS Vancouver. It is beautiful. So MC's got the awesome, that's part of their new line. I'm going to be debuting something in some awesome pictures. I'm not going to show it to you guys right now. Another thing they sent me, but you're going to have to wait for that one. And I think you guys are going to like that a lot too. Meanwhile, I'm getting a little gorny because I'm wearing one of their new awesome creature shirts. This comes in both black and the cream that I'm wearing. It is really nice. Their new kind of creature, like it's almost like a wanted card, except in like L cars. They're really nice. If you like what MC's wearing, if you like what I'm wearing, including this Enterprise hat, you can get 20% off your first order at heroesandvillains.com using our code STRANGE. So do it because their stuff is amazing. And if you don't want to get their Star Trek stuff, holy shit, their X-Men booth at New York Comic Con was freaking amazing.
God, those
so good.
Jackets, those Letterman jackets they had out.
If I had money, I would have walked away with the Weapon X backpack and that Wolverine hoodie, like in a heartbeat. Yeah. Sorry, Tara, not your second or third order. Sorry.
Make some Nightcrawler stuff, Heroes and Villains.
Oh yeah, make some Nightcrawler stuff. That's right. 20% off your first order. Get your Star Trek merch. We don't just plug it because they're our partner. We plug it because we love it. So there you go. Let's get to anything else? That was a lot of news.
Yeah.
That was a lot of
cover. We
news.
had to cover Comic-Con. We good?
Yeah.
We good?
We're good.
All right. Strange new loop time. And the question today, and YouTube Collective, let us know, if you were trapped in a cave, what 2 Starfleet issued items would you bring with you, and why? Now, you cannot bring a replicator. You cannot magically fix the shuttlecraft. You don't have your communicator handy. So what 2 items would you bring and why? Who's going first?
This was so easy for me.
Okay, go ahead.
This was absolutely easy for me. Phaser and Spock.
Hey, wait, hold on. We are going to get into the question very quickly when giraffes come up about what is Starfleet issued and what is not. But is Spock Starfleet issued?
Absolutely.
Hawk? Verdict?
Yeah, I think that really has to go back to panel for judgment. Spock is not exactly a standard issue item in Starfleet.
In my version of Starfleet, he is. He is ubiquitous in TOS, the animated series. He's in Next Generation. He's in Discovery. He's in Strange New Worlds. That sounds pretty standard issue to me.
A hologram of Spock, Tara says. Maybe a hologram that comes out of your tricorder, like in the 32nd century.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call.
I mean, you could go through the legal loophole, which Star Trek likes to do all the time, and say that because Spock is a member of Starfleet, that he is Starfleet issued.
That's exactly what I was saying.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it. Hawk, do you have a couple?
All right, certainly not a phaser. Phasers seem to be more trouble in a cave situation than they are worth. Communicators, absolutely useless, as we find out in this episode. Tricorders are always useful, but for me, my second standard issue, if we're allowed to pick, from the Starfleet ranks, I'll take a Wesley Crusher with standard issue with me.
I mean, that's
now
not bad.
Just breaking all the rules.
I mean, Spock basically is a tricorder, so
yeah. You still need the tricorder for all the readings and that, but yeah, after final mission and that, I would say, yeah, Wesley Crusher. I need him with me and that to get our asses out of a situation.
Okay, all right. Let's see what's in the chat. Tara says a tricorder and water, though. I guess you can get is water Starfleet issued?
If you have a Wesley Crusher, he'll get you the water.
That's true. I know what episode you're talking about. CBS has a Type 2 phaser and an EMH mobile emitter version. He comes with his own toys. Okay. All right. All right. Before I go, because I'm actually still thinking of mine, I might not have any. Giraffe wanted to make sure that she got to go in the strange new loop. And her answer is, excuse me. Her answers were the Jim Kirk cave dildo, which 100% is Starfleet issued, and B'Elanna kicking Vorik in the nuts. Those are her answers, and she's not taking any questions.
She already wants to fight me over this.
Giraffe and I, same brainwave. I mean, like one of the reasons why, I picked Spock to go with mine and why she's, bringing B'Elanna kicking Vorik is because Vulcans have a tendency to get horny in caves.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's like
I want to know what the hell is going on.
2 pond fires have happened in caves, and then just other random like Vulcans getting all romantical in caves. So
MC, as you put in our chat, because fuck or die reaches new heights when people are stuck in a cave.
Exactly.
Yep. There's also just this amazing picture of Captain Kirk and his dildo, which is Starfleet issued, and I will not hear anything else of it. Eric Summer says med kit and a Horta. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, good call.
Love that episode.
Yep. So CBS says, hey, where did you get that Bev Crusher candle in this cave? Well, I actually am going to pick an answer that involves Bev Crusher in a little bit, But I'm going to go against what Hawk says, and I am going to bring a phaser because I just feel like you always need a phaser.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't hurt to have one. And I would be bringing none other, even though he gets hurt in that episode, Hawk, Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Why? Because the dude knows how to make a splint in the 23rd century. And I think that's very important if you get hurt and don't have a med kit. And he also logicked, you don't need a Spock, you just need a Jean-Luc. He logicked his way out of the whole weapon arms guy. He made him turn off the machine. The dude's smart.
That's right.
Yeah, Arsenal of Freedom.
I mean,
baby.
I'm
Let's
not
go.
taking Spock entirely for his brain.
No, they just want a horny hookup in a scary situation.
Oh boy. CBF is right. You gotta warm rocks for those long Spock nights. Oh god, this was a good one. I like this strange new loop. I don't think there are any others in the chat. I think we should get into this. This episode was horny before it started. So we're just gonna keep going. It is our review of episode 408 of Star Trek Lower Decks, simply titled, which is very abnormal for this season, Caves. Caves. MC and I had the absolute pleasure to watch this with like 2,000 other people at Comic-Con.
And Mike McMahon and Alex Kurtzman.
And Akiva Goldsman.
And Akiva, yeah.
All three sat and watched this episode in the crowd, and you could just hear Mike McMahon giggling and geeking out, and it was the most adorable thing in the world. So yeah, that damn cave mission. The episode begins with a reunion, as I stated above. Boymes, Mariner, Rutherford, Tendi, they're all on a mission together, and again to a cave. I'll play it again because we know how Mariner feels.
I hate caves.
That's right, she's not impressed, and for good reason. Upon transporting down, the team almost instantaneously gets trapped in the fucking cave because it's Star Trek. Yeah, like every season of TNG or just Trek in general. What do we think about this reunion opening and them getting trapped? I put it in roundtable order. Hawk, then MC. Hawk.
So it really didn't occur to me in that, like, until I saw it, like how separated they've all been this season. It's always been like 2x2s for their stories and missions. Like, so it was nice seeing them all together for a mission that, pretty much three quarters of them actually, and we're looking forward to. We know Mariner's thoughts on it, but it is a trope I've never really thought about. Caves in Star Trek. And yeah, it goes back such a long way in that, what are little girls made of? Devil in the Dark. For TNG, we got Julie mentioned Arsenal of Fear. We got Final Mission. Arsenal of Freedom, sorry. Final Mission. The Enemy, that one where Geordi was trapped with the Romulan
That's a great
soldier.
cave episode.
That is a really good cave episode. So, Mariner's disappointed in caves, and I guess I kind of have a weird affection for these episodes, so I was looking forward to it.
Nice.
And this was a great opening.
Yeah. MC?
Oh, well, I like a cave episode because the thing is with cave episodes, they generally tend to be character studies because you've got, a couple of characters like stuck in a cave and they are forced to interact with each other. And in this situation, it works really well because, these people have not been on missions together, which is not something that I really picked up on until this point. But it is very true. I mean, especially with like Boimler and Mariner, we really haven't seen them on a mission together, I think, since those old scientists.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's in its proper place in the timeline, because it actually does take place during season 3. So it's, I guess the Moopsie thing was them together, but let's think about that. But yeah, no, having them all together and being forced to, look back on things like that is very much like a bottle episode kind of setup. Which is what the cave episodes are. They're supposed to be a way to lower the cost.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, it doesn't fucking matter when you're doing animation. So it's, just there for the joke of it.
Yeah.
And it works incredibly well to, calling back to particularly the 90s and 60s era Star Trek, when they needed to do that kind of stuff. And just to really check in with our characters, just, for how they've grown over the season. And this is probably going to be the last time that we get a chance to check in on them before we get to episodes 9 and 10, which I should say we have not seen yet.
And
We
I
have not
want
gotten
to
our
add on
screeners
top
yet.
of what MC just said. Mike McMahon made it a very important point at both the roundtable and on the convention panel like stage that these were the 9 and 10 were specifically held for the press because like they're big episodes. So we might not get screeners from them at all. I've never heard them openly talk about this. So we'll see. Sorry,
Mhm.
MC.
No, I was actually going to say that.
Oh,
that
sorry.
Mike McMahon had it's okay. That's why this is a conversation. But yeah, so we're not going to get, this is our last time to really check in to see how everybody's grown over the season, but coming back together to be like, we're all still friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. One thing, it's hilarious you mentioned about how like cave episodes are usually like to keep the production levels down and that, because they even reference that in this episode when they say, caves all look the same, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They really do. Where was I reading it? Oh man. I don't know if it was in his autobiography, in the memoir or not, but I think Patrick Stewart was actually talking about caves and like budget. I could be completely making that up though. I'm like on 5 different medications.
Well, it's the Planet Hell set, isn't it?
Yeah,
That they had for.
Yeah. Emma Blake Handler in the chat goes, some great cave episodes in DS9. So true. The Siege of AR 58, 59. It's one of those numbers.
Siege of AR 558.
558. Thank you.
And Rocks and Shoals
Heart
and The
Stone.
Ship, which are 2 episodes that I always get confused.
The last episode of DS9 is a cave episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What You Leave Behind. Yeah. I like it. I love cave episodes. Hawk mentioned The Enemy. That's one of my favorite cave episodes. Listen, I talk about this episode any chance I get. Arsenal of Freedom is like one of my favorite episodes of Trek ever. It's stupid and I don't care. Yeah, I love the intro. I'm gonna try not to talk a lot, guys. I have a cough. I loved Mariner's mood. Just like, I hate caves. And she's just like scowling the entire time on the planet when like Teddy and Rutherford are like geeking out about science and Boimler's just like, whatever, it's a cave, it's exciting. And she's like, fuck this. So love the mood. Love that it goes dark. And Mariner's like, oh yeah, cave mission, huh? And he goes, damn cave mission. I loved it. By the way, hello, Hello, Stress-Free K. It is good to have you in the chat again. Welcome back.
So we should also mention that Giraffe, while she loves this episode, she said she fucking hates cave episodes.
Yeah, she hates cave episodes, but also has a PhD in Trek cave episodes. So
yes,
take that.
So she's very upset she's not here.
Yeah, she's very upset she's not here. So as the story goes, right, like the moss comes alive and it starts like eating them. And they're all like, oh, well, I have a cave story to see if they can figure out their way out of it. And Boymes is up first because he spent some time with Mr. Lieutenant Steve Levy. Well, 359 was an inside job. And technically, Levy is right. It was an inside job because, Jean-Luc. Locutus. So, yeah, we start getting the cave stories from the queue, starting with Boymes. I said Q. That was a Freudian slip from the crew. Starting with Boymes being teamed up with Levy, who starts just going conspiracy theory to conspiracy theory to conspiracy theory. And one specifically about the Vendorians from the animated series, and ends up being 100% right, which is just like absolutely wild. What did we think about cave story number 1 with Boymes and Levy and the Vendorians, Hawk?
I mean, as much as we all groan at a conspiracy theory and a conspiracist, I don't know the word
conspirator.
For it. Conspirator. No, that's a guy involved in a
conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy theorist. There we go. Levy just pretty much proved in this episode that just because you're paranoid does not mean that they're not out to get you. And the Vendorians, like what a pick. They got one animated episode of TAS. and like a brief nod in Envoys, and that way back in season
That's
one.
right, the Andorian, right?
Yeah.
So the fact it was a crazy good little story, and it was funny because we talked about bottle episodes, and we got 4 bottle episodes within one bottle episode. I did love his interactions and that how it turned out to be. It was actually a morality trap that they were involved in, like the perfect cart with only one seat. They should have been a big giveaway. I love this bit. I love Boyne's story.
Nice.
I'm good.
MC.
So I love a flashback episode that is made of completely new flashbacks. It is, I think, since I watched Clerks, the animated series, when they did a flashback episode in the second episode, it's been kind of like this thing that I've fucking adored. And so seeing it come up in this, where it's like, we're going to have flashbacks, but they're completely made up. Wonderful. And the story with Boimler and Levy. First of all, I can't believe that Mariner actually went out on a date with Levy. Like, remember, like that's how he got introduced.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shoot.
And this was such an interesting pair because Boimler were totally used to being like the put upon, Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. And here he's just getting like totally just aggravated. He is the one in charge. He is swearing. And it's just kind of a Boimler that we don't usually get to see. And I think this is, again, an evolution of bold Boimler, which we've been seeing over the course of the last 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vendorians, like, as somebody who fucking loves TAS, and I know, like, I can almost hear the writer's room that, every time they come up with an episode, they're like, can we bring in this animated series alien that only ever appeared in the animated series and was never mentioned again, because they are on a mission to make the animated series completely canon again. And I am here for it.
No
animated
bullshit.
Series is canon.
Yeah,
No bullshit.
They're crushing it.
Yeah, because of Lower Decks, I've actually started finally watching my way through it. So it had the effect,
It's
right?
so fucked up and brilliant.
A wild ride.
I also loved how it was Levy's fanboy
Right.
that actually got them out of a bad situation.
From his subspace servers.
You know about our methods?
Yeah. In the chat, Norman Buckwall did point out that they did do another bottle episode. They did flashbacks episodes in the first season, that the trial that wasn't a trial
Veritas.
with which was just wonderful. That's one of the best episodes of season 1. Were you done, MC?
Yeah.
I fucking adored the Vendorians, not knowing a single thing about them. I loved the brood pods, and I loved the one that was like rubbing its brood pods, ready to like put it in them. And I love that one of them was voiced by Dawn Lewis.
Yes.
That was
The
fantastic.
I will be talking about that in the Easter eggs.
Oh, cool.
Because there's more.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I listen, like Boims and Levy actually work very well together. Like just the chemistry. I really like the combination. Now I'm gonna drop I made a tweet earlier today saying that this episode, very low key, made a big update to Star Trek canon that I thought was very important, and I'm happy they did it. The Vendorians, as they said in this, or as Levy said, and they did not deny it, are the ones who put out the false information that going above the speed of Warp 5 was damaging subspace. So the whole thing was a lie, which is why starships don't follow the Warp 5 rule anymore. It was the Vendorians. They put out the false information. They didn't deny it. They denied the Klingon Civil War, but they did not deny putting that information out there. Canon, baby.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, they fucking did it. And it's just like a throwaway line. Are you kidding me? Amazing.
Oh, It's something that I always love. Like when people are always like complaining about like continuity errors with something like that, where it's like, well, why didn't that get brought up ever again? As the headcanon queen, I'm always like, you find a headcanon to work for that. And basically Lower Decks is like headcanon, the actual canon, which is why I should bring me into your writer's room.
Part the sea, let MC in. Part the subspace field. Yeah, no, I loved this story so much. Let's get to the next one, because life comes at you fast, baby. One day you're on an away mission at cave, and then you're giving birth to a clone baby. That's right. Story number 2 may be the wildest. Rutherford on a cave mission with Dr. T. Their guide gets brutally killed. Imprints on Rutherford, who gets pregnant immediately and gives birth to a clone baby. Nuff said. Hawk, story number 2.
This one was fantastic in the fact that it kind of both referenced TNG's The Child, when Deanna experiences motherhood in the span of a day. Also, I also had a little bit of the episode that introduced the Trill to the series, and that when Riker had to
the host,
the host, and that.
And also Expecting from Enterprise.
Oh, okay.
Where Trip gets pregnant.
Trip gets pregnant. Man. Yep.
Oh, I remember that now.
The exact same way too.
I don't watch enough Enterprise, so this one was great, especially like pairing Dr. Tavana or Tiana with Rutherford and that, because that was kind of an odd mix-up, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The whole baby thing kind of played out like exactly like I thought it would. And Rutherford proves my point. Tricorder is still the most valuable thing you can take along with you in a cave, and that it saved them at the end.
Yep. Real quick, MC. Stress Free K says those damn Vendorians, they are the Loki of the Trek universe. Not wrong.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. MC.
Oh my God, Star Trek giving us canon Mpreg. I tell you, Star Trek not only basically invented fanfic, but has been feeding it for decades now. And this storyline, oh my goodness. I mean, as Hawk said, Rutherford and Dr. T is a very interesting pairing, because we haven't really seen it, and except for that episode where Rutherford is switching departments and where he's like really good in surgery, but he's got a terrible bedside manner. And like Dr. Tiana is like the one person in that episode who is pretty mean to Rutherford. Like everybody else is like, oh, I got to follow your heart. Meanwhile, she's just like, you suck at this. So it's really interesting to see them together, especially also because they're both like the people who are the closest to Tendi. So it's kind of fun to see them like interact with one another. And Dr. T with a baby, I enjoy this because she doesn't seem like somebody who would be very motherly. She's an asshole cat, let's face it. But also, like, having spent time with this baby, I could see her and Shax having a baby now, and I want that.
Oh my God. That would be adorable. Yep. And also chaos.
Terrifying.
Yes. Oh my God.
One of the weird things that came out of this was like, I kind of realized that like, Tiana is actually a really great doctor in that, because
she really is.
Mostly we just see like, a lot of the craziness associated with her life and that, with, the Shax and the role-playing fantasies on the holodeck. Whenever like some sort of mind control takes over in that, she goes absolutely feral. But like when Rutherford was like having a baby, like on the spot, she was like, just boom, down. This is what's happening. Gets him into the birthing position.
Performs like a perfect cesarean, like just boom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just boom out. You're gonna want this.
I'm not gonna bite on a boot.
You hold this while I sew you back up.
And I think since the end of season 2, we haven't really gotten a lot of Dr. T because Tendi has moved on to her science officer training. So now that she is out of the med bay, Tana is kind of relegated to her storylines with Shax, or, kind of fitting in, whenever we can have a medical thing, because nobody can ever figure out what to do with doctors. That's why Bev disappears from the movies.
Yeah.
So what would a Shax's cat doc look like? So there's actually in Doctor Who, there is a woman who has a baby with a cat alien, and they just look like kittens.
Yeah.
Aw.
And they're adorable.
Yep.
So
Eric Summers in chat says Shax would be an amazing dad. Dude, he fights fascists. He's dad of the year already. Also, I will say, if you have not read Shax's Best Day yet, the Day of Blood one shot, buy it now. It is one of the best comics I've ever read. I was
so good.
Dying. Yes. Were you good? MC?
Yeah.
Ruthadaddy, that's what I'm calling him. That was amazing. I love that arc. I don't have too much to say on it just because it was like, you guys hit it on the head. It was just so good. Rutherford is like a great Papa Bear. He got that from Shax. He's awesome. And Dr. T warming up to the baby. And I love that, like, Rutherford's skills as an engineer saved them, right? Like, he hotwired the tricorder. And the Graflex was just like, dude, I'm just trying to save my baby. Like, you're a good dad. I'm trying to save my baby. Let's get you out of here. It was cute. It was adorable. We have another code word. Who wants to read the code word? I'll do the other thing after the code word, but who wants to do the code word this week?
I could do that. So for our Yosemite shuttle giveaway and code word, Brood Pod. The answers are stackable. You email them to us at trivia@strangenewpod.com. You can DM us at SMP9000 on Discord, etc. Get those in.
Yep.
Yep. You want that. You want that shuttle.
And what's that code? One more time.
Brood Pod.
Brood Pod for one of these bad boys, like the one that crashes in the cave this episode. Yeah, it's Brood Pod. Tara, BROODPOD. 2 words. It's actually 2 words. Brood Pod. Speaking of giveaways, with all the answers being stackable, we thought, listen, not everybody's going to win, right? And there's a lot of you who've entered. So we thought we would do a little giveaway now for all the people that have entered. So at least another person wins something. So at the big Star Trek panel, we were given these nice gift bags from Paramount Plus, and we're going to give this away with the contents inside right this second. So you get the Paramount Plus tote bag. We're not shilling, I swear it was free. A Cerritos pennant.
Like that.
You can't really see it, but I have it hanging here. I have it. It's really cool.
Wouldn't that look great on your wall, people?
It would. And this Star Trek comic that was in there as well. And the person who drew from the folks that already entered the Yosemite Shuttle contest, the winner was the Chief, Ernesto. Congratulations, Ernesto. You win. I'll hold it up one more time. The gift bag of doom, of goodness. So this is yours. Congratulations. You are still entered to win the shuttle too. We just thought that, someone could win if,
We had more stuff to give away, guys.
Yeah, we like giving shit away. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah, that's it. Good thing good old Diana Mulder, Dr. Pulaski, wasn't with Mariner and Delta Shift on this away mission, because we've seen what happens when she gets older in that one episode of TNG. Cave story number 3, Mariner, Delta Shift, crash shuttles. What could go wrong? Someone could lose a leg. That's what could go wrong. Someone does lose a leg. There's some aging. There's some de-aging. Thoughts on story number 3, Hawk?
Oh, I love this. It was a great callback to unnatural selection. I loved that. I love that effect of that. They're in this cave and that every time they walk closer in that to get to that ore that they need to survive in that, they just get older and older, just decades just shrivel off them and that. But then they walk away from it and everything gets reversed. I love that this was a way for them to kind of hash out, Mariner to hash out beef with like the Delta shift. They get ignored. They never get to meet any of the command officers, and so they never really, get to have a face put to the name, right? um, this actually turned out to be my favorite one, especially like when they find out that you just go around the little top loop and that, and it actually de-ages you, and you can get to the crystals there. Like all of these stories were just fantastic in this episode. And Mariner's awesome.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
MC.
I'm going to politely disagree with Hawk. I loved this episode. This was actually my least favorite of the story of the flashbacks.
Really?
Yeah. It felt like it was hitting kind of the same notes that we've hit with Delta Shift and Mariner and everything before. The leg coming off was, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm used to like graphic in cartoons. Like I've been watching a lot of Solar Opposites lately, so people just get like fucking torn apart in that. But there was just something about the leg coming off that was just really just.
Well, it wasn't just like a fresh bloody leg coming off. It was like an old, decrepit, like almost mummified leg coming off.
And you watched it like heal over itself.
I know it didn't heal properly.
It looks like a knot.
It was so painful. Like, as much as we were saying, like it was a lot of fun watching this episode in a big room of people, watching that specific part in a big group of people, just like the amount of it was you could feel like the discomfort.
Cringing. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh, if you didn't like that, I would recommend staying away from M. Night Shyamalan's Old. Basically, because there's a very graphic scene like that in the movie, and overall, it's just a shit movie. So,
yeah, and this it really reminded me of there's a Tales from the Crypt episode where this exact same thing happens.
Yes, I love that episode.
Yeah, where it's like if you go up the stairs, you get old. Like I think, like there's somebody in the house, and if she comes down the stairs, she like gets old, and it's like you could have to like meet in the middle or something like that. It's like really weird. I mean, like certainly there's been a lot of stuff which have done that kind of thing before. So like Lower Decks is pulling from a lot of different places, including Star Trek, where a lot of characters get old, and I think my favorite part of this is that when Mariner gets to middle age, she looks like Carol.
She looks like, yeah.
I know the streak in the hair and that.
Yeah. Stress Free K writes, why were both of the women so cavalier about his leg? Well, at that point they were like in their 80s and each had broken their hip, and at that point in that age, like old ladies don't give a fuck. Like
and I mean, it's Mariner and Mariner's counterpart. So.
Yeah. I get it. I'm with MC. This was my least favorite of the three, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought the leg thing was absolutely horrifying yet amazing at the same time. And I just love that he still wants to go back and get it because it's his leg, right? Even though he's gonna get a brand new one,
he's still like attached to it.
You got to think about Nog a little bit, right? Like
that is a Nog reference.
I immediately thought about Nog, and I was like, oh man, Nog went through hell with his new leg. So this poor dude is gonna have PTSD, and like, yeah, you're right. They were a little nonchalant about it, but it's
Nog's new leg didn't have to do about his leg, though. It didn't. It
more
about realizing his mortality.
Fog of war, right? Yeah. They were totally selfish in survival mode. That's what Tara writes. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong at all. They were.
Of course.
They wanted to get the fuck out of that cave, and you can't blame them. I love you guys. That's from Tendi, right? Oh, I mean, that's for me too. I do love you guys. All episode long, Tendi wants to share her story, which is not a cave story, but a turbo lift story. Mariner keeps telling her that it wasn't a cave story, not relevant to the situation. Finally, after the 3 stories, right, the moss envelops all of them and starts speaking. It's like, I will not let you go until I hear the green one's story. And Tenny's like, but it's not a cave story. It's a turbulent story. And Mariner's like, tell the fucking story. And it just turns out to be all sorts of wonderful, right? Tendi tells the story about her first day on the Cerritos right after the zombie outbreak, right? And then they just get all drunk, right? It's like when Mariner's like, yeah, you're going to be my chud each. And they get wasted. Mariner changes out the bottles from synthahol to real alcohol. And they get stuck in a turbo lift for hours and hours and hours. They play games, 10DPs in a corner, and then they all end up cuddling together at the end, which is just like gonna go down in maybe my top 3 Lower Deck moment. Not like episodes, but moments, like top 3 moments of all time. Just like these 4 besties being in a cuddle puddle. Just did all sorts of things to my heart. It's the whole moral of this episode, right? That they are growing up and they're not always gonna be with each other. And more than likely, they won't all be on the same ship. And that's it. That's probably coming sooner rather than later. But no matter what, we'll always be friends. Thoughts on the final story and the message. Also, it was the Vendorians.
This was kind of the great culmination because Tenny got shouted down like through the episode because about telling her story. And it turns out it's like, it was that moment where they really bonded together, right? That drunken kind of, stuck in a turbo lift after a big, crisis on the ship. And also, it was a kind of another shout out to Final Mission in a way, Picard and Wesley as they were kind of, parting ways. Wesley was going off to Starfleet Academy and, it's an acknowledgement of the fact that things are changing, and yet things, it reaffirms the things that don't change between them, the friendship and bond, and that's always going to be there forever. And I loved it. It was heartwarming. It was the Vendorians all along, but I love that the cave was lonely. The moss in the cave was actually lonely itself and was just looking for a friend too.
Will you be my friend?
Then the stories that come out about other cave episodes and that, because my God, this could be like a recurring episode.
Does anybody want the cave episode where they met themselves? Because I do.
Yes.
Yes.
What? No way.
That was so good.
I love how this closed out the episode. It was just perfect.
Yeah. MC?
I love this so much. And that moment of them in the cuddle puddle, seriously, I kind of want to make that my desktop image. It's so heartwarming. And I really think that you really captured everything in the synopsis of it.
Oh, thanks.
They're growing up. And they're not always going to be on the same ship. And the fact that this story from Tendi goes all the way back to the first time they're all together just tells us how quickly they all bonded with each other and how important their relationship has been throughout the series. And really, I think none of them have been able to grow up without the others because Mariner needed to be friends with these guys to be able to finally accept, a promotion. Rutherford, Boimler, and Tendi kind of needed the support of the others to, stand out. So I think that while these guys, they're all kind of in different areas in terms of what they're going to do in Starfleet, even Mariner and Boimler, who are both command lieutenants, still pretty different in what they're actually doing, but they're all stronger together. So it made me very happy.
Yeah. Tendi being my favorite character to begin with, right? Having kind of saved the best for last, and then just this feel good story. everything, right? It's not just Tendy's story. It's what happens after, right? When they get scared by Shaq. Like, I'm here to save you. And then they're all laughing their asses off about it in the moss, right? And Meredith's like, man, I almost or Tenny's like, I almost peed myself again after that. And Boimler's like, almost, I straight up did. And they're all just like, they're all just laughing, and they're just like, they're the besties that we've been watching for 4 seasons, right? And it's just like, I love this show, and this was just such a genius episode to do at this point in time. Like, Mike McMahon talked a lot, both at the panel and the roundtable, about how they had the idea to maybe promote them at the end of season 3, but then decided to do it at the beginning of the season because it opened up so many more possibilities.
Season 4.
Thank you. Season 4 opened up so many more possibilities, and it really did. And it leads to this episode, which we'll get to in our final thoughts, but was just such a banger. Speaking of,
I think it's also really brilliant that they had the last story in a turbo lift, which, while that's not really a Star Trek trope, I mean, except it does happen in Q&A, but it is such a TV trope to have people stuck in an elevator, and that's what's usually bringing them to like the flashbacks like this. I mean, also usually there's a pregnant lady in there, but you know, in this there was a pregnant guy in the cave.
And Stress Free K is absolutely right. Tendi is the glue that holds them all together. She really is. So, speaking of your final thoughts, Hawk.
Well, I mean, like, when you think about it, this episode really is kind of a bookend to the season, right? Well, except for the last 2 episodes coming out. But, you know, from the promotion at the beginning in episode 1 to episode 8, where they're kind of reflecting on everything on that and moving forward in their new positions. This season as a whole so far has been like amazing, right? I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. This episode, it works on so many layers and so many levels, and that it's hard to describe. But it's just, as a Star Trek fan, as a Lower Deck fan, this one was just pure joy.
Yeah, absolutely. MC.
Eric Summers in the chat just pointed out that part of the Next Generation's disaster is an elevator episode, as is the Short Treks Q&A. So there are some turbo lift episodes. But for my final thoughts, I have said it every week. This season, like, everyone is a banger. Like, this season is so fucking good. Like, I don't think Lower Decks has been this good since season 1. And even season 1, there's still like a couple of episodes that I'm a little iffy on. Meanwhile, everything is hitting on all cylinders. It is so good. And this episode is absolutely no exception. This is one of my favorite episodes this season. I don't think it is my absolute favorite, but it is certainly up there. Probably top 3.
Yeah.
Kind of shows you, like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I say it shows you like how, like, a writing staff, you know, they need those first couple of seasons under their belt to really kind of, you know, gel as a group, right?
Right. And season 4 of TNG was like a lot of bangers too, right? And this is now like kind of their season 4. It's yeah.
Which is why shows should run more than 5 seasons.
This is listen, between Tendy's episode on Orion and this, like, these are the 2 favorite episodes of the season. I would say that this is a perfect episode. Like, this just embodies everything Lower Decks is and should be. It's got everything. It's got heart, it's got gore, it's got laughs, it's dirty a little bit. There's a fucking pregnancy and a baby. Like, it's everything that you need from Star Trek, and I adore that. And I think did you both fall asleep? Was I the only one who finished this when we were in Toronto? I
was absolutely awake.
Okay, you were awake.
I didn't fall asleep. I've only fallen asleep once during an episode of Lower Decks, and that was when I was watching A Few Badgies last week.
Okay. So I think we were talking about this one, but I think we both like had really big feelings about when this one ended, and it's just such a good episode. Not too many ratings, so we don't really do them anymore. We have one in the chat, 8.5 out of 10 out of Norman Buckwald. Listen, I'll just say it. If I was going to give this one a number rating, this would be a 10. Like, this is just an amazing episode. Easter eggs. MC, I know that you already had one, so I'm gonna
I do.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Easter eggs. First of all, we do have the Vendorians from the animated series. The all-terrain vehicle, I thought, was a nod to the TNG movies and Picard always getting into an all-terrain vehicle because Patrick's such a gearhead. We have references to Wolf 359, Picard, Q, and the EMH. There's shade on Reddit. Because that whole, on the, these forums on Subspace.
Yeah.
That was so Reddit. And I love it. I love that they're making fun of Reddit. A reference to the Klingon Civil War. And this is the one that I was going to mention. The Vendorians are all voiced by members of the Cerritos crew. The main Vendorian is Dawn Lewis. Her second in command is Jerry O'Connell.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and it's actually... most of the Vendorians are the bridge crew. One of them is Noel Well. So, but yeah, it is. The Vendorians are very much kind of a mirror of the Cerritos crew, which I loved.
Yeah.
As I said, Mpreg via dermal contact is very much a reference to Unexpected, I think is the actual name of the Enterprise episode. And a shift between beta and delta shift where they can meet up. That's gamma.
Amazing. Hawk, any Easter eggs?
No, I've kind of pointed out all the ones, not like for me, Easter eggs are the ones that kind of, that the show kind of wears proudly, and that doesn't hide away. So I think I'm good. I don't really have any other ones to point out.
Yeah.
Wait, Easter eggs are things that the show wears proudly. Do you know how Easter eggs work, Hawk?
I know they're supposed to be hidden away, but when they're out there, I usually just call them out as just plot points and that.
It's like it. Okay. Amazing. I already mentioned it, but the whole Warp 5 episode of TNG Force of Nature, that was like a big thing that happened in this episode that nobody's going to talk about, and I'm going to keep bringing it up. So when everybody says, but what about the Warp 5 limit? I was like, it's the Vendorians. Fuck you. They lied. It was all a conspiracy. Best Easter egg in the episode. Anything else? Not a lot in the chat. I think we hit all of them. Let's get to the Subspace to Poll and mailbag. Oh God, I was about to press the wrong button. There we go.
Hailing frequencies open.
And Hawk, I hope you put those numbers in.
I did.
Yay! Who wants the poll, Hawk or MC?
I can take it. We asked Trek Twitter what they thought of 407.
I've been doing that all season. I'm so sorry. And it's 408. 408.
It's 408. Yeah, it is actually. What we asked Trek Twitter what they thought of 408 caves, and this is what they had to say. 46% said delta shift. 43% said love a good cave episode. 9% said Venborian, and 2% said brood pod where? Who hurt you guys?
I know. You 11%.
Hurt you. Oh man. Alrighty. Hawk, you take Chris's mailbag, please.
Absolutely. Chris wrote, cave moss, more like cave boss. Boimler actually expressing his feelings, causing him to eat bugs and gain a new friend. Daddy Thurford.
Daddyford.
Daddyford. That works much better. It's more alliterative.
Or Rutha
Daddy. Winning over our favorite Cation, Grand Mariner. I love that. That was clever. Learning the plight of others who are angry out of jealousy over shifts and legs. That's super fun return to the first episode and following a very drunk bartendee and learning what a great bonding moment our friends had after that chaos. These all made for so much fun with everyone's favorite TAS knee-slappingly unique Vendorians.
Indeed. Ernesto wrote a flashback episode with new stories. Ingenious. This was exactly what our gang needed to rebond after the promotions and show them they are a family. Each story was relevant for character development. Mariner dismissing Tendy's story was typical Mariner, but proved most important, showing they were all equal in the overall arc of the series. The getting older animation was great. The introduction of the Vendorians was interesting. Forced morality, or they will lay eggs in your neck. All in all, I loved it. Very good. Thank you, Ernesto. MC, can you take NY Lights, please?
M.Y. Rawlite wrote, "This was a great calm before the storm episode. They've rebonded just in time for the reveal of the season's antagonist. It was the shortest of the 4 stories, but Tendy's was my favorite. It adds more to why they all became friends so quickly."
Very nice. Hawk, you get the limericks, and it's 407
You
and
get
408.
2 of them.
I just
Tara
made that
did the
correction.
same thing.
Tara wrote, "It's a 2-for-1 limerick time, 407 and 408. Peanut Hamper and Badgie in the same episode. What more could a girl want? An introduction to the Vendorians, you proffer. Yes to those shape-shifting cephalopod wonders. 407, a few Badgies more. Peanut Hamper and Agamus are both seeking parole, and Badgie's back, an AI with a very tortured soul. Boop on the nose. It's total destruction he'll impose. But Rutherford's hugs lead Badgie to the Great Koala Black Hole."
Hey, I love that.
Now for 408 Caves. It's a classic Trek bottle episode. Stories are shared of separate workloads. Tentacled Vendorians are behind it all. Be considerate and kind, or face your downfall. Friendship plus drinks are the magic source code.
Very good. Love those, Tara. Well done. I will take it home with CBFs. I really enjoyed this episode with the almost clip show feel to it. Love a callback to a classic TV trope. There are so many references packed into this one, it's going to require multiple rewatches. The no-kill eye moment from this episode had me standing up and doing the Leo DiCaprio meme pointing at my TV. Also, Tendy's Turbolift story was worth the wait. That Lower Decks Cuddle Puddle left me with the warm fuzzies. Everybody's using Cuddle Puddle. Yes.
Because what it is.
I know, and I love it. It makes me so happy. The twist at the end was a wonderful callback to the pilot. You ever been trapped in a sentient cave? That's a dark place that knows things. Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. Folks, that does it for this one. This was a really fun review. As always, we will be back next week with our review of episode 409. We don't know what it's called yet because we don't have them. We might not get them. Mike McMahon is being very secretive about these 2 episodes. So we might be in the dark with you, which is kind of cool. So as Colin said, please, if you haven't already, if you're new to the chat, if you're new to the channel, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when we go live. 2 episodes next week, 409, followed by Star Trek Prodigy Day and our Cadet Report. Stay tuned for all of that. For MC, for Hawk, I am Julian. Live long and prosper. Majram. Good night. Oh, by the way, the thing is probably going to freeze again. So if we're frozen, we love you. And just look at our faces. Bye.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.